Welcome to the HEOR Insights YouTube channel. In this explainer, we will cover the principles and practices of searching for gray literature, focusing specifically on conference abstracts within health economics and outcomes research. We will begin by defining gray literature, then place it within the evidence lifecycle. From there, we will detail the search process, review key applications in HEOR, and conclude with important cautions and best practices. We will start with a foundational concept, defining gray literature and establishing why it is so critical for any comprehensive evidence synthesis. The widely accepted Luxembourg definition from 1997 provides our starting point. It classifies gray literature as any information not controlled by commercial publishers. In an HEOR context, this most commonly refers to conference abstracts, reports from health technology assessment bodies, and data found within clinical trial registries. So why is this search a required skill? There are 4 strategic imperatives. First, timeliness. It allows you to overcome the typical 1 to 3 year publication lag. Second, it helps mitigate publication bias, as it includes studies with null or negative results that often go unpublished. Third, it uncovers unique economic data, such as cost and utility values, which are frequently omitted from final manuscripts. And finally, it is a direct requirement from HTA agencies like NICE and CATFEITH for their submissions. Next, we need to understand where this type of evidence fits within the broader publication pathway. This helps clarify its role and value. The iceberg model is a useful way to visualize this. The published, peer-reviewed articles we see in journals represent only the tip of the iceberg, the white literature. The vast majority of the evidence base, the gray literature, remains submerged and less visible. This timeline illustrates the typical journey of clinical evidence. After a trial is registered, the first public dissemination of results is very often a conference abstract and its associated presentation. The final peer-reviewed manuscript appears much later in the process. This highlights the conference abstract as a crucial early-stage output. Now we move from the what and why to the how. This section details a systematic and practical methodology for conducting a gray literature search for conference abstracts. A robust search follows 4 key steps. First, you must define the scope, limiting the time frame, often to the last 2 to 3 years, and identifying the most relevant conferences. Second, select your sources, prioritizing bibliographic databases like Embase, along with manual searches of conference websites. Third, develop a search string that relies on free text keywords and publication type filters. And the 4th step is critical. You must manually deduplicate the results and link them to any subsequent full publications to avoid double-counting evidence. Here is a practical example of a search string for a database like Embase. It combines keywords for the intervention and indication, searched in the title and abstract fields, with a limiter that restricts results to the conference abstract publication type. This is a standard and effective technique. Since gray literature is not peer-reviewed, standard risk of bias tools are not applicable. Instead, a framework like the AA Codes checklist is used to assess quality. This prompts you to evaluate the authority of the authors, the accuracy of the methods, the coverage of the topic, its objectivity, its date, and its significance to your research question. With the process defined, we can now connect this skill to specific, high-value HEOR functions where it is regularly applied. Gray literature searching is essential in 3 core areas. In network meta-analysis, an abstract can provide the critical data link needed to connect an entire evidence network. For economic models, abstracts are a primary source for cost and utility data not reported elsewhere. And for competitive intelligence, monitoring conference proceedings allows for early tracking of competitor data and strategy. While this process is essential, it requires a disciplined and cautious approach. This final section covers the risks and best practices for using unpublished data. It is critical to recognize that data from abstracts is preliminary. Published research has shown that between 30 and 60% of studies have significant data changes between the abstract and the final publication. This fact underscores the need for caution. As an analyst, you must always acknowledge 3 key limitations. First is data discrepancy. The results are provisional. Second is limited reporting. Abstracts lack the space for detailed methods. Third is the lack of rigorous peer review. For these reasons, any data extracted from an abstract must always be clearly labeled as preliminary in all analyses and reports. This table summarizes the fundamental trade-off. Peer-reviewed articles offer high reliability and detail, but are slow to become available. In contrast, conference abstracts provide rapid access to emerging data, but at the cost of moderate reliability, low detail, and poorer systematic searchability. With this framework in mind, the final step is to translate this theoretical knowledge into practical expertise. A recommended next step is to visit a primary source, such as the ICE4 presentations database. There, you can apply these search concepts to find real-world examples of how economic data is reported in abstracts and posters. This type of hands-on practice is the most effective way to solidify your understanding and develop this core HEOR skill.